Okay, Tuesday morning, May 28th, heading to the gym. It's been a little while. I just wanted to comment on the Usyk Fury fight. I think that was already over a week ago. I've just been really busy with the baby, and we'll talk about that too. But yeah, it was like I thought it would be a close fight. Usyk was better. And I believe in the previous videos I predicted that Usyk would come out on top on a decision. At least that's what I've been saying around here. And a split one at that. It was, but really I don't think it was a split decision. I think it was a unanimous decision. I think the third judge, I know boxing has always been a bit shady. You know, how that works. But the way I saw that fight was like the first 6 rounds. I mean, it was close. Fury was, you know, getting landing punches and everything. But then he just ran out of gas. I mean, as simple as that. He's not an endurance athlete, you know. Usyk is like one of these like endurance athletes at his core. And can go the whole 12 rounds. And he's a technical boxer. So, you know, when you have strong endurance, you can be aware, and you know, probably Usyk's reflexes are better. He was showing some demonstrations how you can catch 6 coins in the air at once. So that's also probably something that is underreported, is like this reflexology. It's something I see in my baby. She's got like really good reflexes. She can get things with her hands and respond really quick, you know, and that's like something you're born with. So I think that's where he won, and that's where he wins all the time, is that it's like Tyson. Mike Tyson had very strong reflexes. I mean, Fury is like really powerful, pretty fast, but you know, I don't think he was trained to keep this tempo for 12 rounds. He thought, you know, he would land a few really hard punches and stop the fight, but I think at this level, I don't think very many fights go, you know, are like by knockout. I mean, there have been quite a few, but I think nowadays they got to be ready to go the whole way. But no, I thought it was good. I don't know, the rematch is in October. I'm not sure what Tyson Fury's mindset is, but I was saying if he was able to get his running up, if he could run like 10 or 15 miles a day as part of his training camp and really work on the endurance, I think he could win the next fight on a decision. You know, I mean, like I said, it was close for the first 6 rounds. And then I think he even won a few rounds. But like I said, he just started to fizzle out, you know, and then you lose interest, really. It wasn't as easy for him as like Deontay Wilder and some of the other fights that he had. I mean, that Francis Ngannou, you know, beat him up pretty good, but he wasn't really even trained on that fight, so I don't count that one. That was like an exhibition fight. But like his serious fights, you know, he usually outboxed. You know, he was better technically, just much more powerful, much more bigger. You know, especially against Wilder. Wilder's a decent boxer, but he's not a technical boxer. You know, like Fury is, or Usyk is, or even Anthony Joshua. But I don't know how Anthony Joshua would hold up against Deontay Wilder. You know, a lot of these guys have made millions of dollars, and they don't really have to do this. And somewhere in the match that can creep into their head. But like Usyk, you know, he was taking lower pay because he just wants to box. You know, he was accepting 70-30 splits, and he was like trying to get in the ring. So Usyk is like in his moment. He's in the zone, you know, mindset wise. But these other guys, they're really rich. And you know, when they get in there and things don't go the right way, it's really easy to think like, what am I doing here? You know, I got a big house, I got a Lambo, I got a nice family. You know, I could do something else. I could open a chain of restaurants, or I could make office buildings or something like that. I mean, yeah, so I mean that's I think what's going on in their heads as well, with these boxers and everything. It's not like the old days where they had to fight every couple months or something. You know, it's like they fight every couple years for this massive payday, so they're not even used to working, really. I mean, they go to camps and everything, but most of the time they're doing things on their own schedule. You know, so yeah, it's not like it used to be. You know, you used to see pro boxing matches more often, and it used to be a more interesting sport. Now it's like it's always some last minute drama. The fights get delayed. You know, there's always this talking and hyping, and contracts always get messed up. So it's we'll see. I mean, I'm like to see Usyk, you know, do the rematch on Fury and see him fight Hrgovic. You know, I guess he's supposedly, I don't know if he was going to have to vacate that IBF belt or not. You know, if he doesn't fight Hrgovic right away. I hope he wins the appeal. He gets to do another defense of the undisputed, and then he has to fight Hrgovic right after. I don't know. I personally think they should be fighting every 3 months. You know, I think they gotta. I think it's just like I said. It's the good fights are far and few between, and everything has gone to MMA, which I don't understand or follow. Boxing is like it's a very interesting sport, technical, and there's all these moves and you know things that are going on. And if it was broadcasted more often, like in the 80s and 90s when I grew up, it would actually be more interesting. You know, we were always hearing about Mike Tyson fought this guy, Mike Tyson fought that guy, you know, when I was growing up or something. And even before that, it was like long before that, when I was really young, it was Muhammad Ali. We were always seeing him. And now it's like boxing is like only exists in the blogosphere, gets mainstream coverage once in a blue moon. I don't know. So yeah, now on the next thing, the baby. So we took the baby to her first swimming lesson, 4.5 months old. You know, it was like a 10-15 minute lesson, get her in the water, get her used to the water, but we actually had her swimming around, obviously held the whole time by a swimming coach. So they turn her, they dunk her and everything, and she didn't cry. She didn't, I think she was just in awe where she was. But she didn't cough up or spit up any water. They automatically close their mouth and nose and stop breathing as soon as you put them under the water. There's like a reflex that the babies have, you know, probably that we still have too, or you develop. I don't know how that mechanism works, but I know when I'm underwater I don't breathe unless I have scuba gear on or something. But yeah, so they dunked her under the water just for a second, and she was okay. And it was real chaotic though. You know, we drove to this place. It was our first mission with the Kia Sportage, first family outing with the new car. And yeah, we drove to this place. The parking situation was okay, but the changing rooms were like crowded. And I mean, it's like both parents can go in there because you're changing your kids. And you need two parents, you know, when you're changing kids, you know, because they're just like jumping everywhere. They're like, especially babies, they're just like fighting with you and trying to roll over. And our baby is already doing the rolling. You know, she's ahead on her milestones, you know, and she's kicking and all this stuff. And, you know, I thought she'd be a little bit more settled, but really, really active. You know, she's already doing the army crawling. She's not crawling. She stands on the force, but she doesn't crawl on the force. She's like, you know, just wiggling around on her stomach, but she can get to places, directions and everything. So yeah, I guess that's a consequence of reading to your kid while they're still in the stomach. They develop a bit faster, and then you got to deal with all this hyperactivity. It really takes a lot out of you. So yeah, that was fun. That was really a good time. And then we also went to the Strisky Park last week. So that's a park here in Lviv. You know, the Strisky Park. And see, it's like 6 in the morning, I decided I got to get to the gym earlier. You know, I decided to start getting up earlier every morning to get more done during the day. But yeah, we went to the street ski park. That's like a nice park here in Lviv, and took the baby there. Went in the morning. You got to go early. Parking is like we went on Sunday morning. That's the highest probable you're going to get the parking. You know, all the commercial and commuting and all that is off on Sundays. So we managed to land a parking space right on the gate of the park. You know, so to save ourselves. But you have to do things early here. The traffic is really, you know, one thing I noticed with the car, I just do some small basic things. You know, just had to drive here and there, and it's really, traffic is really a nuisance here. And the roads in Lviv, they're just falling apart. This is what happens when you don't have taxes. You don't have the taxes are really low here in Ukraine, but there are consequences. I mean, you can see we have these old buses. These are probably like 40, 50-year-old buses from Europe and stuff. They're like donated to Ukraine and everything. All that stuff ends up here. So infrastructure is really, yeah, it's crumbling, as I can say. They have some nice road to Kiev. We're going to have to drive to Kiev when we register my daughter for her U.S. citizenship. I think Norwegian, I'm not sure yet. Every day it's back and forth whether we're moving to Norway or America. I mean, but now I'm leaning on Europe just for the medical care, and a little bit, I can have a little bit more relaxed schedule, spend more time with her. If I go to America, it's going to be a lot of long days, long commutes, you know, and then you miss the whole point of parenthood. You know, you just get caught up in that grind, and then the kids grow up and disappear on you, and you missed everything, you know. So it's leaning towards Europe. I had an interesting job interview at Novo Nordisk in Denmark. That's to make Zepp-bound, be a project manager in the Zepp-bound manufacturing. So I had a first interview there. That was cool. The hiring manager was an American who'd moved to Denmark, so he was actually from Nebraska, and I stayed in Kansas State, so we had a pretty good connection there. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Denmark was actually my first choice where I wanted to live. You know, when I was looking to move to Europe, but all the jobs at that time were in Norway. So it's like better late than never, right? But yeah, U.S. is still a possibility if I find a stay-home job there and cut out the commuting. That frees up like 10 hours a week, 10 or even sometimes 15. You know, if you count door-to-door times, you know, on the commutes in the U.S., 45 minutes each way, hour and a half a week, you know, or each day. Yeah, so plus time to get ready and servicing the car. If you cut all that out, yeah, you could save a lot of time, and it could make the U.S. work. We just have to see. I mean, so we're still in the process of getting all the papers translated, you know, official. You have to, when you do translation, you have to get an apostille, which is like some very high notary, and then you got to get the translation done, and then all of that stuff has to be notarized. It's like it's a lot of stamps and fees, and yeah, it's a lot of government bureaucracy you have to go through. Yeah, in the war front, so there's like the Battle of Kharkiv now, but the Russians had put in the news they don't want to take Kharkiv. Probably they'll just flatten it if they're given the chance or the opportunity. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, but they did announce that they're open to negotiation for the current lines. And I guess it's going to come down to, is it officially recognized, not officially recognized? Does Ukraine get NATO? What's left of Ukraine gets in NATO or doesn't get in NATO? You know, what can they negotiate? Are the Ukrainians even willing to be a part of this negotiation? I mean, it looks like they have to, because as soon as the Congress was stopped up and the money stopped and the arms shipments stopped, things went south really fast. So I think Ukraine has to accept that democratic countries are not reliable. You know, every time a government changes, the supply chain can change. You know, so, like, as I'm in favor of just a deal that includes a Western-backed security agreement, like NATO agreement. I mean, like official NATO. That's the deal I would make for 18% of the land, is that the rest of Ukraine is officially in NATO. And they get bases, they get, foreign soldiers on the soil, just like in the Korea. Just like I've been saying for over 2 years, to get a Korean style deal. But yeah, enough of that. I'm just trying to see a little bit different way to the gym this morning. Jalil's shop doesn't open this early. He's a late riser. So yeah, the car though, it is a bit fun. I still have to take it, get some windshield wiper fluid, and the air is really dirty here. There's just a lot of, I didn't realize that, like when you get a car, you see all the everything, just all the dirt piles up on the car and everything. It's really something. So yeah, that's life here. It's you can see a lot of old buildings. Yeah. So I was on Reddit, and people are asking about it. This is always a topic I like to talk about at the end, is investing. And like, what is next after Nvidia? Nvidia blew out the earnings. That was also like the big news. Everyone's like looking, what else can you invest in Nvidia? Well, I think it's like asking, like, what else can you invest in other than Apple in the last decade or the decade before? Like, what else was there other than Microsoft? Or I think the decade before that was like, yeah, Microsoft decade. So you had like an Apple decade, and then you had a Cisco, and there was a company called EMC that did like the memory storage, and they ended up getting bought up by Dell, back in the 90s. That used to be the real rock star company. And Microsoft has always been actually a good investment. In every decade they've always done well. But yeah, I don't know. I think Nvidia managed to put a whole data center into a pizza box. That's what this whole Blackwell chip is about, this next one coming out. And even if the customer got the competition's chips for free, the Blackwell chip would be much cheaper to still run. It would pay for itself, even and then all the savings on cabling and savings on electricity, from just running one chip versus like thousands. It's just better to buy it, and then because running it is almost for free, compared to the competition's chips. So I think they're going to be around for a while. I'm believing that this, the AI story, it's hard to understand if we're at a hype and a peak, or we're just in the beginning. But I think we're in the beginning. I don't know. I am cautiously optimistic. I'm looking for things to diversify into. Like, I'm looking at the power and the energy sector. I'm looking at an ETF called NLR, which is a combination of nuclear energy companies and companies involved in uranium, because it looks like nuclear is finally making its comeback. And then I'm looking at the CRISPR technology, the DNA editing technology, and apparently there's one medication already that's been FDA approved. So that could be in the beginning. That could be a 10-year play. Accumulate now, and then 10 years from now your $10,000 position is worth $1 million. That's what everyone's looking for. Like, what is it that you can accumulate now that in 5 or 10 years it'll be worth 100 times what you've put into it? And that's really, really hard. I mean, if you looked at Nvidia 10 years ago, it was just a small company making graphic cards. And you have to really read on the CEO and the people driving the company. Everything comes down to people, and the decisions they make and their background. But it's really hard, because in Silicon Valley there's a lot of talented people, And now it's really easy to look back and say, yeah, Jensen Huang was the man. I mean, in 2017, 2018, I saw a movie, Wolverine, Logan, and they had an auto truck scene, and that's what led me to NVIDIA. You know, like I just started researching self-driving. That movie just gave a glimpse of the future of what self-driving would look like. And that was like the over-the-horizon technology. Now, trying to figure out what is going to be over the horizon, it's definitely the DNA medications. But again, sometimes things are good technologies, but they don't make much money. There's not much profit because there's too much competition. So, and then the other one is like quantum computing. But again, NVIDIA would probably even be owning that as well, because that requires like high power microprocessors. NVIDIA, Google, IBM, they're like the players in the quantum space. There's not going to be anyone we don't already know. But you know, problem with IBM, it's like an old company. They're managed like General Motors and stuff, not very dynamic. You know, it's not a founder CEO company like NVIDIA. And then you know, the energy sector is supposed to have a comeback. It's been underinvested in America for a very long time. You know, energy infrastructure, especially nuclear. And so that would be like Caterpillar and General Electric, Verona. You know, it'd be companies like that, you know, if there's going to be a lot of construction going on. So it's a tough one. It's finding the next big thing and where things will go. I mean, definitely defense sector. I would say, you know, we're going back into a Cold War, but that's already run up a lot. And that's a resource intensive business, so it doesn't get much margin. They have to build big factories and hire a lot of people, and they have a lot of regulation. You know, they're bound by government contracts. You know, so it's again, it's a good industry, but not a good stock. And that's the tough one. So I'll let you know what I find out. Now I'm here at the gym, you know, the playground behind the gym and everything. So I'll just point some stuff out to you. Yeah, I think here, this like building behind me is a parking garage, and this thing with the blue building here. Yeah, this is I'm not sure, it looks like a jail, but yeah, there's a lot of these like weird buildings. I figured out what the other one was, but I'm not quite sure what this one is. Maybe it's just some maintenance shed, I'm not sure. You know, then we have a playground here and everything, so, yep. Okay, all right, we'll see you all later, bye-bye.